Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 31st meeting of the LTD Board. This is a delayed meeting, which was, we did not meet at our regular time due to the ice storm. I'll do roll call. Susan Cox.
Here.
Pete Knox.
Here.
Kelly Sutherland, I believe she's on Zoom.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
She says, yes, I'm here.
She's here. Thank you, Kelly. Lawrence Green. Here. Michelle Weber.
Here.
Heather Murphy.
Here.
Adjustments to the agenda. I'll make one. We have CEO comments later in the agenda, but I'd like to move it to after the public comment. I don't have any people signed up on the sheet here in the room for public comment. Do we have any online?
No.
I want to make sure under adjustments to the agenda, there's updated agenda, business action items. Perfect. Okay, so it's been updated on what you have. So I just want to make sure that
The transfer
perfect
within the general
Yeah.
fund? Perfect. Okay, so no public comment. We'll start with CEO comments.
Thank you, President. Wanted to start off just by talking about the ice storm for a bit that certainly paralyzed the community and certainly our services as well. It's never an easy call to suspend service. It's never that. We use the information on the ground to make that decision. I want to thank the board for helping us from a policy perspective and guiding the agency. Certainly safety is one of our main core values. If we can't get people that are safe, we shouldn't be getting them there at all. So in light of the conditions that were out there, we did suspend service. We had several employees that had the same experiences as many in the community. Employees that had power out for days, employees that didn't have had issues with water. Here on the facility, we had issues with power. We were on generator for a while. We also had issues with water here as well. So we made the best call we could under the circumstances and quite frankly, conditions being the same and all things being equal, I think that same call is the true call 10 out of 10 times. I do want to recognize staff that did an incredible job in looking out for each other. I'll give you one story that Jake and his team were very attentive. We had an employee call in to see when they should report. They were told, we're not running service today. A few minutes later, they called back, same question, same response. A few minutes later, the employee called back again. They surmised something was not right. They were able to have family and friends check up on this person. They had slipped and fallen and were concussed. So we have stories like that. And we also have our operators banding together, our administrative staff banding together, all feeling bad, not being able to make service. So I want to acknowledge the work that was done there, the attentiveness. I also want to acknowledge Matt Imlock's team and Joe's team on making sure that the facilities were de-iced. I don't know what kind of muscles they have today, but they're bigger than they had 2 weeks ago, getting rid of all of that ice. So I want to thank them for that effort. I also want to acknowledge that we need to debrief on this event and take a look at, what went right, where there are opportunities for improvement. One thing that we learned is a huge challenge is 30% of our buses are electric, and how do you charge electric when you're having electric problems, right? The bigger question would be, if we were 3 feet underwater, how do we charge buses? So I think that there are some lessons to be taken from this event. I believe that coordination with the county, with the jurisdictions, which happened during this event as well, but understanding, where we can improve will be critical. So we'll be interested in those discussions as well. But I did want to acknowledge that we recognize that people need to get places. We understand that folks are being discharged from the hospital without ways home. We were not able to get them there either, based on the roads and on the conditions. We surveyed the community. I know Councilor Weber, I'm your counselor now. Councilor Weber, you did the same. And, certain parts of our service area in Springfield community, it reminded me of Kansas City if a tornado came through. I mean, it was that bad. So we made the best call we could. Again, we know that that's not an easy call to make, but it was the call to make in that situation. On a lighter note, I'd like to report that we had a employee event Sunday evening. It was the first time we had that event in 3 or 4 years, I want to say 4 years. And we recognized an Employee of the Year at that event. And the Employee of the Year is Quentin Price. Quentin is one of our public safety officers, and you've met him previously as Employee of the Month. So I wanted to acknowledge that as well. And with that, I'll end my comments.
Thank you, Jameson. No items under the consent calendar. We'll move on to the Employee of the Month. I believe John's going to present.
All right, thanks to everyone. I'm really happy to be here to be able to present during one of the most important functions that we do here, which is recognizing our Employee of the Month. I'm joined here by Jeff Howell. You all have heard plenty of presentations from me throughout the last year, so I'm especially happy to be able to introduce you to someone who's getting some of the real work done around here. Within our accessibility team, we're running 43 different contracts right now, and we've got 3 people doing it. So I've been working, Jeff, especially hard. It's stressful work, and I think during times of stress, we see what people are really made of. And so I get to say some nice things about Jeff really being able to rise to the occasion. So part of that, he's just been especially eager, not just to learn, but to teach, but to help us all raise up together. He's never been too busy. He's never said it's not my job. He's always been eager to help in a compassionate way, whether that's learning sign language to be able to better communicate with our customers, to be able to learn how to secure a mobility device, to learn about how complicated Medicaid programs work. He's been able to do it all and smile while doing it. So he's the type of person where he especially shows caring to some of our most vulnerable populations, older adults and people with disabilities. I also just want to note, we share office space together, and he has a whiteboard in his office, which his family has drawn upon, daughter Harper here today. And there is proof on the whiteboard showing that Jeff is the greatest father in the world. So apologies to anyone else here who might think that about themselves, but we have evidence to the contrary. He also brings with him just a contagious energy that helps us all with the work that we do. Anyone who's been near him for any length of time will know how passionate he is about music and the energy that just courses through him. I've also given him a reminder that if he wanted to have a solo on public access TV and jumpstart a career in music, today might be the day for that. So I mainly just wanted to say this is a time of celebration of all of Jeff's work and accomplishments. I think he's been held in very high regard by all of his colleagues in all of the work that's been far-reaching throughout the organization, particularly serving some of the folks who need our help the most. So I just want to take this time to be able to honor Jeff and take some time for a few words if you wanted to say anything.
I just want to say that it's really great to be a part of an organization that is already compassionate and goes above and beyond for the community. It's really great to step foot into an organization that already does that. And I'm really glad and honored to be a part of that. So thank you.
I'm sneaking up behind you, Jeff.
Oh,
We have a few things for you. Nice little pin to recognize.
oh, thank you.
You, a letter, a certificate,
Awesome.
a check to enjoy with you and your family,
Nice.
and most importantly, a poster.
Awesome.
Yeah. Jeff, thank you for your work. You have an amazing job to do, and you do it well. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the American Bus Benchmarking Survey results. Amy Reichart is here to present that item.
All right, good evening, directors, LTD community. My name's Amy Reichert. I am our newly appointed Chief Performance Officer. And tonight we're going to be talking about benchmarking, specifically through the lens of the American Bus Benchmarking Group. We can go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so I always like to start when we land. Oh, we can go back to that slide. You know, we probably speed through that one a lot, right? As somebody guiding our strategic business plan, I think it's important to pause on this slide. So I'm going to share a little mission moment. Was riding the bus recently with some colleagues, had a chance to interact with somebody who was on the same level as me about data. And so we actually got to start talking about LTD's data and our GTFS feed. And that's innovation. That's our innovation value. And it's really exciting when you can connect with, you know, people in the wild that share your interests. So that was a good moment for me. All right, next slide. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about what ABBG is. We're going to learn a little bit about the results that we received through the customer satisfaction surveys with paratransit and fixed route. And then we're going to talk about how we're using this information or starting to use this information to really apply in our decision making. Next slide. All right, so what is benchmarking? Basically, benchmarking is a comparison method. That's it. The core characteristics are that it's continuously done and it's used for managing and improving performance. That's benchmarking in a nutshell. Next slide. And so LTD participates with the American Bus Benchmarking Group, which provides benchmarking services for 25 U.S. transit company members. We've been participants since 2011, and we currently rely on ABBG to produce our customer satisfaction survey results for paratransit and fixed route, including several of our strategic business plan key performance indicators, customer perceptions of safety, security, agency courtesy, overall satisfaction, and our net promoter score. So a very important partnership. Next slide. Okay, and so let's talk about what we've seen. We're going to dive right into some results. So what we're looking at here, this comes from page 15. If you're following along in your packets, it's a prioritization analysis, looking at specific areas of customer satisfaction. And I'm going to get up and can I still be heard by if I'm up here? Is that okay?
We could set the mic up by the podium.
Okay. So graphs, sometimes you have to dig in. It's not intuitive to everybody. So I just want to make sure we're seeing the bottom here is the priority ranking. So that's how important it is to the customers. And then on the axis here, we have satisfaction. So this is how satisfied our community members are telling us they are with these specific priority areas. Okay, so what we see here, this orange dot represents availability. So that's like how convenient is the network, how's the schedule. What we see is that this is the most importantly ranked area for our customers, and we're at our target. So this is kind of our average line here. So we're at target. The next most important area is time. We're a little bit below our target. Okay, and then let's come down here. So what this is, this little outlier dot right here is telling us that this is our lowest performing area. It's also kind of mid-ranked. Right, so that's all information. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so, oh, I forgot to add a graph in here. So I'm going to tell you about this. It's on page, if you're following along, you can look at page 10. So this is where we get into the benchmarking part, where we're benchmarked against other transit agencies, but we're also benchmarked against ourselves. And that's what we're going to focus on page 10. You can see that for availability, which again is a convenient network and a convenient schedule, we're pretty stable over time. We can do a little better on schedule. That's kind of what the data is showing us. And then if you look at the availability of information is alternatives information and actual information. That's, you go back to the last slide. There we go. So this one here, that's those bottom two. And if you're looking at the graph, what you'll see is that over the last 3 years, our scores have gone down. So we are there is some underperformance there potentially, but what I want to highlight here, and this is really important, is that no matter what's going on, like this is important and there's probably opportunities here and we want to invest maybe, but we need to think about this in terms of a whole prioritization matrix. And what this is showing us is these two, availability, time, are always going to be really critical to invest in.
Can you define time?
Yeah, for sure. It's trying to think of the visualize in my head. Can you go to the bottom? Actually, I think I took it out. That's it. Time is two things. And I'm not sure. I'll have to look at my notes. Yeah, I think it's like, I don't want to guess. Yeah. On the survey, it's two measures that are talking about something related to time. I think it's like the time between stops kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so on to paratransit analysis. So same, what we're seeing over here, this is the service ease of use. Here's what I want to call out on this. You see all these dots? Our customers are very satisfied with our paratransit services. That's what this is telling us. I mean, we had Jeff, this is Jeff right here. That's what we see on this graph. Okay. So that's the data. This is all information. Again, you can go to the next slide. So what do we want to do with all of this? This is the most important question, I think. We're getting information and inputs, but we need to be able to apply it in a strategic way. So we have several reviews in process, our comprehensive operations analysis, thank you, or our comprehensive service review, our ride source service review. And we need to think about how are we prioritizing customer satisfaction in the decision-making process as part of a matrix, right? Customer satisfaction is one part of that. It's an important part. This is important information. And sometimes we're going to make decisions that prioritize other areas. So how does this data fit in with that whole matrix of decision-making? And then we want to ensure our work priorities align with our prioritization inputs. That's kind of a complicated way of saying what I've said to this board before, which is that we need to focus on the right work at the right time with the right people. And so that's what we're trying to do here. We're going to learn all about how we're trying to do that now as Camille talks to us about our recruitment and retention strategy. Before she does it, I'm going to pause. I just packed a lot. That was like a crash course in benchmarking in under 10 minutes. So I welcome questions.
Any questions or comments?
I have a couple questions.
Sure, Susan.
Thanks for the report. I guess one of the things I'd like to know, how many people responded to the survey? How many individual responses were there?
Yeah, we're consistently getting.
We were about 2,500. One of our obligations is being part of the ADBG is that we're responsible for communicating with our riders in the community to fill out that survey. We end up annually, of the 25, we usually are in the top 3 respondents. So we have a high degree of engagement with the community.
So when you talk about the trends of how many people responded, that's pretty.
We're actually one of the highest performing, if not the highest performing of the 25 transit companies because of how well we publicize it. And as we know with survey data, the more responses you get, the more reliable that data becomes.
I know, Pat, we've talked about reaching out to other communities that maybe are not traditionally involved. So I'm wondering, is it in English only or are there other languages?
Well, we did push it out in Spanish.
Okay.
But we did not get into other languages.
Was this the first year for Spanish?
I believe it was.
Did it make a difference to your seat?
Because all the results go back to, to Imperial University. That's a good question. I should have an answer to that.
It might be in the packet. And actually the answer to Jameson's question, I'm realizing now is in the packet. I have all the indices laid out there, but There is data on what percentage was responded to in Spanish. If it's not in your packet, I can certainly get it to you.
I'm glad that we're expanding the scope of who we reach out to. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Great.
Heather, did you have some questions? Okay. Any others? Sure.
Just point out a couple things in the data, on our fixed route service, over 60%, over 65% of our respondents were under 40. So that's information for us in terms of how we market. The flip side over on paratransit, the lion's share was in the 60s. So I think that those are some telling things. I think also from a safety perspective, safety on the bus versus safety while waiting for the bus are two different dynamics, particularly from men to women. That's something that was asked in our strategic planning commission by Claire Sarette on, what's the difference between the two. This will lay that out and help us to figure out how we need to deploy our public safety services. So there's some good information in that data. I'm pleased to have Amy in the role that she's in because what did you say? In the wild? She understands how to turn this data into information. And we get a lot of this and we're going to be relying on this. So a lot of good information in there. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
And
James.
Tom knows I don't like not being able to answer questions promptly. So he got me the information here. Time is punctuality and journey time. So the most important things to our customers are convenient schedule, convenient network, punctuality, and journey time. And that's as expected. It aligns with the, industry standards. So yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item for discussion is regarding recruitment and retention. Camille?
Oh,
the district's really top priority. Wow, that chair is really low. I just went. It has been a team effort, like a district-wide team effort, a team approach to recruitment and retention. So we are following suit and taking a team approach to providing you this update tonight on what our recruitment and retention strategy has looked like and is progressing into across the district. I'm going to start with walking through kind of the snapshot of our current circumstance. And then we will walk through what our efforts look like across the district, and each chief here will speak to their reflective areas in the district. And then I will circle around and we'll talk about how you as a board can help us with these efforts and supporting this strategy. So first off, next slide. I forgot about the clicker. And next slide, actually. So currently we have 175 operators staffed. Out of that, we have about 155 operators that are maintaining our vehicle revenue hours of 226,778. We also currently have a class of 10 that's in their second week of their 8-week or 9-week, 8-week training period. So far, everything's looking really good. So if the full class completes the training, that will put us to 185 operators. But pointing out of that total staff number, we have 155 operators in the seat. So impacting factors, as we've discussed in previous conversations several times, this is an industry-wide issue across the nation. All public transit agencies are feeling the same struggle. For our area specifically, we have a low unemployment rate of 3.7. So the labor pool is relatively small, and so that makes it, you know, relatively challenging to bring people in. We're in a different community circumstance than we were 3, 4, or 5 years ago. We also are struggling with a high absenteeism rate that's averaging at around 18%. And really important to point out is we have a high number of potential retirements in our operator pool as well. So next slide. This graph represents the total number of days missed each month as a result of protected leaves. Now this, you can see, we started off pretty high. We had kind of a decline through the summer and then an incline again. That could mean the amount of days missed in a month by 7 operators, 20 operators, it varies. But this is a pretty good illustration of the reality of what we're dealing with. So what that says is the bottom line is it takes more operators to maintain the same level of work today. What this also means is it is an opportunity for us to diversify our workforce. And in a few minutes, we'll talk about more about how we're doing that. Next slide. So with that picture that we've just provided of where we are now, staff have determined that it is in the district's best interest to impose a small service reduction of 3.7%. Now, the reason for this is to support the retention of our current operator pool, improve their work-life balance. They've been our frontline staff that have done an incredible, endless push through COVID and continue to do so with the staffing challenges that we've had, and to reduce burnout. We've heard our operators loud and clear, and it is important to us to support them and still continue to provide the best service that we can in the safest manner that we can with operators that are not burnt out. So the service reduction will impact weekday service only, and we anticipate that to range from March 10th to June before we do our next bid. We will talk a little bit more about what all of that looks like in a few minutes as well. Next slide. All of that said, I want to circle us to the district's driving initiatives, which are 2 primary things: our strategic business plan and increasing revenue service levels by 10% from our fiscal year 2023 baseline, and our mobility management migration. So in order to be successful in these initiatives, we really have to take a step back and focus on our foundational core work, which is getting people in the door and retaining the people that we have, as well as the people that are coming in the door, new operators that are coming in the door. And I do want to point out as well, our primary focus has been on operators because that's what puts our service on the road. We do also have a high need for mechanics and public safety officers as well. So we are putting efforts into all of those areas. That being said, we will now, each of the chiefs will now speak a little bit more as to what all of our strategies across the district look like. Starting with Joe.
Thank you, Chief Camille. Good evening. I'm just gonna briefly talk about, thank you. The planning department's role and their ability to impact retention of staff that we have. And so just basics, planning department is the group that designs and creates the service and the work for employees, and the operations department is responsible for implementing and carrying out that work. So there's a natural dependency between the two work groups. So these new challenges require us to find new ways of collaborating with each other and addressing issues either in real time, or if we're going to program them into the next bid cycle that we have. As an example, something that we started last September are what we're calling listening sessions. So this is something we're doing after a bid is just implemented. It's an approach that we're seeking to get feedback directly from bus operators, and if possible, try to address pain points for them and customers at the same time. It's not rocket science, but we're trying new things to get better results. It's just one of the several tactics that we're working on to increase not just communication, but transparency between the departments. The service reduction is another example of how the planning staff have been working with operations to lessen the burden on bus operators, as Camille was speaking to. The bottom line is we have operators that are just working too much right now. It's a risk for us in terms of retaining the workforce that we currently have. So reducing the service to some degree on the road right now will increase our capacity to cover the current rate of absences. And again, the desired result being a reduction of operator burnout and keeping them here at LTD. So that's just a real quick snippet of what the planning group is doing, and I'll pass it to Cosette.
Thanks, Joe. So I'm going to speak to what operations is doing. Thank you. I'm going to speak to what operations is doing, really focusing on retention. So as Joe mentioned and has been mentioned before, reducing service really is an intervention. It's not something any of us want to do, especially our bus operators. They don't want to reduce service. So we're here to serve people. They're out there every day serving people. However, they're suffering. They have a very low quality of life. They're exhausted. If you spend any time back in the operator's lounge, if you're out riding the bus, which we're out doing to support our bus operators, you can hear the exhaustion. They're not angry. They're just exhausted. So we need to have an intervention, a temporary stay that allows our workforce to rejuvenate and recover. So there's some other things that we're doing as well. So we have awards that recognize our bus operators, really trying to encourage, acknowledge, let them know that we see them and that we appreciate them. So we have a couple that we have already established. We have years of service, so we celebrate years of service. Safe driving, which is very important because we value safety. But also we have a new one that we're going to be incorporating, and our mission is connecting our community, and our bus operators do that with flair. They connect our community. We're going to recognize that by acknowledging the number of hours that people spend in the seat, the number of hours that people are actually driving and doing that, connecting the community. It also hopefully will encourage people, because they are seen and recognized. It'll encourage people to come to work and reduce absenteeism. And we're going to talk about community partnerships, and we've already talked about community partnerships and how important those partnerships are, especially in a low unemployment situation that we have today. But I don't think we can stress too much the importance of the partnership with ATU. So ATU has a great opportunity for us to help retain and actually expand our operator workforce through apprenticeship programs, even looking at pre-apprenticeship programs, so going into the schools, and also looking at incorporating a mentorship program. So I just learned about a mentorship program that's already been established and that they're using down in California. And it really, it's an opportunity for operators to mentor each other, and it really starts them investing in each other, investing in success, investing in encouragement and acknowledging each other. And it really goes a long way toward people feeling good about the work that they do.
The other thing that this is going to do in reducing services, it's going to give us an opportunity to give back to our operators some of the pieces of work that are gratifying for them. Not only is it gratifying for them, but it's helpful for the district. So we'll reestablish our service advisory committee, which gives an opportunity for our bus operators to have a voice at the table when we're talking about service, when we're talking about how we serve our community and our customers. And we'll also incorporate them back into our proofing process. Nobody knows our schedules better than our bus operators, and nobody knows or could spot potential problems better than our bus operators. So we're going to reincorporate that. And they love doing that work. That's good and gratifying work to them. So I'm going to pass it now over to Wendy, who's going to talk about what HR is doing.
Wendy Frisbee, Chief Administrative Officer. Good evening, everyone. So I am, as Cosette said, here to talk a little bit about HR and just kind of the high level things that they've been working on. One of the things we've done is actually operationalize our team, our whole district, and asking our employees to help us with recruitment. We know that our employees are our greatest source. And so what we've done is worked with them, kind of helping them to understand the importance of that, but then also instituting a new referral bonus. I believe Jameson spoke about it at one of the last meetings that we've started. So it's going to be $500 total. They'll get $250 after the training is completed. And then at the end of their probation, then they would also receive the other $250 for a total of $500 for them. So this is a great way to incentivize getting more people here. We've been taking a really good hard look about our internal processes, just making sure that we have the best practices in place for utilizing the partners as we should be, and just making good decisions on that. So we're doing a really thorough review on that. Still in the middle of that, but had a lot of progress. We're also shoring up our hiring processes, just making sure, again, we're looking at best practices. We're getting people here in a timely manner. Sometimes, you know, coming into a governmental agency, especially when you have to do background checks, it can take a little bit. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of cutting that time off as much as we can, so we aren't losing good talent to other agencies, especially in a low market like we have right now. 3.7 is pretty awesome, but not when you're looking for a bunch of people. So the other things we're doing, and kind of just taking a message from what we did on the work session in November with the board, we're working with community partners. It's so important to us. We need to all support each other. And so we've just been really reaching out, having a lot of collaborative meetings with that. So we're with Springfield Chamber of Commerce, we're working with them on their Work Ready program. So we're going to be getting kicked off under that. Lane Workforce, WorkSource Oregon, Opportunity Oregon, Easter Seals is helping us meet the vet population. And then also, you know, Chamber of Commerce is helping us for Eugene, helping us do job postings, and just many more to come. And just kind of a success story that we've had this week, the Lane Workforce, we had a job fair yesterday, and really something we had a really great turnout, and just, you know, really overall positive. I've heard some good stories that came from that. So we're going to look to do more of those types of events and really try to focus on that recruitment. And then finally, the last thing that we're really working on, I should say finally, one of the last things I'll report that we're working on is just we want to get more operators trained. We know that we need to hit that 215 mark that we put in our strategic business plan. And so by us doing that, what we're going to do is stagger our training classes. Before, it would just run one, we'd have a little bit of a break, we'd run another one. As we worked with the team, and they were going to find a way that we can actually start the classroom work. And then once they move to the road, then we can start a new class. And so it's actually going to be able to help us increase the numbers quite quickly. And so really with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Walsh to talk about marketing.
Great, thank you, Wendy. So our goal with marketing is really to raise awareness about the district overall, but specifically about the job opportunities that are available to community members who want to come work for an organization that makes a difference in the community. We're focusing our marketing efforts on Lane County residents 18 and older who are in the job market or job seekers. That's the way we're defining our audience. We're using storytelling to reach that group. We're trying to find ways to be able to tell stories, all employee stories and passenger stories, so that job seeker sees these videos, whether it's on social media or on television or hear about it on the radio, that they have someone to relate to, that they can say that those are people I want to be with. Those are people I want to serve. Those are people I want to work with.
And so we've told some good stories. Some of them you've probably seen, whether it's been Eric's story as a veteran is coming to work at LTD after he retired from a long career in the Air Force, and this is an extension of his public service, or Todd, who works in facilities management and is managing our project downtown, who rode the bus as a kid, you know, with his mom and his family. Those are the types of stories that we've been telling. Those stories are coming up on Facebook, connected television, local TV, and also on radio. And then also we have an arrangement with KVAL and KMTR through the Terrell Group that we have a story on every other week that we pay for. So we're able to push those messages out through the media that way, and that also goes on the television station website and also onto their YouTube channels. Everything we do is in English and Spanish. We have an English language and Spanish language website for people to go to find out about more information. We're also involved in creating some events. One of those events that we're working on is really a demonstration of the collaboration that we have going on internally. On February 24th, we're going to invite 30 people to come and test drive a bus. I mean, that's one of the things that certainly we talked about internally is that we have to get people who are interested in driving over that hurdle of how do I get onto a 40-foot bus and drive it. And so we're going to do that on the 24th, and that's involved operations, training, fleet maintenance, marketing, HR, a whole group of folks. So we're in the process of putting that event together as a team, and certainly you'll all be invited to see how that goes and maybe even take a spin on a bus if you want to. So we'll be ready for that. But those are an example of some of the things that we're working on, again, to build that very important awareness that's critical for us to be able to attract quality candidates to LTD.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, everybody. That's all really good stuff. Very exciting. I'm going to talk to you more about metrics. So I hope you're still excited about that. Call back to benchmarking. That's where we started the night. We're going to do that with this. Everything we're talking about here, we need to be able to demonstrate outcomes. It's really critical. This is a big investment. One of the things we're going to be measuring is cost to hire. How much is all of this investment costing us? What's the return on investment look like? Other best practice HR measures, time to hire, retention, engagement, other key indicators. We're going to be looking at all of that regularly to make sure we're headed in the right direction. We're also going to be looking at things underneath of those key performance indicators. So a lot of the initiatives outlined here tonight, we're going to talk about simple, measurable outcomes. So for example, Wendy mentioned the WorkSource partnership, the event that we did there yesterday. So I have it on good authority that our initial return on applications moves that event into our top 5 sourcing methods for LTD. That's good. That's a good initial result. And that's quick. We did it in 15 minutes. We had that conversation, but that's a measurable. And now we can measure against that and continue to benchmark what's working for us. Okay, so over the next year, essentially through the lens of metrics and reporting, we expect the district to become very familiar with how we're considering the challenge of recruitment and retention through the story pulled through our managed metrics. And then before we wrap up and take questions, I want to call something out here because I started the night talking about the importance of customer satisfaction and our results there. Now we've pivoted to employee engagement, and anybody paying close attention might be experiencing some dissonance because when you look at the most important things to the community, it's availability and time. And we're talking about a service reduction. So that's not a decision made lightly, but if you can go back one slide. That triangle is in our strategic business plan and it's guiding us. Our foundational work is recruitment and retention. And we know that the relational piece with our customers in our community will stand on that. So it's a decision that we're making through a thoughtful exercise put through this process. And that's why we designed it that way, because we knew we were going to encounter periods along the way trying to get to this transformational vision where there's competing priorities. And so we're applying our method, and it's good that we have it.
Thanks, Amy. So I want to point out a couple of things again. it was really important to us to come at this with a team approach to really emphasize this is really an all hands on deck district-wide initiative, and we are we're working, all of our tongue-tied tonight, staff are working really hard in all the right directions to really try to get us over this hump and back to where we need to be. I also want to point out that while we've spoken to a high level summary of the things that we're doing in your packets, there is a more comprehensive list or itemization of the things that we are doing. Now, what's in your packet, in the original packet, has been updated, and that has been provided to you as a handout. We updated it with the additional things that have been done and additional measures over the last 2 weeks with the delay of our board meeting. So that we do have printouts of that, and it is up on your iPads there for you to see as well. With that, I guess it's just that time of night. I want to turn the focus to you all and how you can help and what your role as a board is in supporting the district's recruitment and retention strategies. So there's a couple of ways. We need your input and your feedback, and through utilizing your comprehensive networks. You all have very well-rounded comprehensive networks as well. So a couple of questions that we'd like to ask you is there anywhere blaring that you see that we have overlooked as far as recruitment strategies? Are there any unique recruitment strategies that we have overlooked? And as Ali mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we have newly developed recruitment cards that are like little business cards, and we have those quite a few available for all of you to take, to have on hand to utilize throughout your networks, or at any point you come across somebody that seems like they would be a good candidate. We are providing them to all staff, all operators. We are all pitching in to support these recruitment needs. So with that, I will stop talking and we will turn it over to you for any feedback, input, questions, additional discussion that you would like to have.
Comments or questions? Susan? Oh, Pete.
Thanks, Gino. Thanks, guys. Just I looked at this earlier today, and at least the one that was in the packet without the updated stuff. But I think you guys have got a very comprehensive plan. This is not a easy puzzle to solve, and I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. You know, I have seen the ads on social media. I've even shared a few of them out just to spam my friends. And you know, any port in a storm, as it were. And I'll be happy to take some cards and pass them to some people that might be interested. I don't know, who knows? I don't know. But certainly my friends are sick of hearing about LTD, but that's a whole different story. So, but thank you for the presentation. I know this is going to be an ongoing process, so I can't wait to see how this starts unfolding over the next year or so.
And because this is so important and such a priority for the district, we will be bringing this update to you every month for the foreseeable future.
Susan?
Thank you. Appreciate the team effort. That's great. I really am pleased that there's a bonus incentive. I think that's really smart. So that's for the operators. Is it for all employees? Okay,
All
that's
staff.
good. Have you seen a difference? Is that there been an effect from that?
So
Or
we
is it
just
too
started
new?
it January
Okay.
1st.
Oh,
And so, but we are including the first class we had that started January 22nd. But yeah, so it's a new program for us. And so we have heard a lot of excitement around it, a lot of questions. And so it is offered to the whole district, but really the positions we're looking for are those tougher to fill, the frontline employees, you know, of course, operations, fleet, public safety, those ones that are just like that specialized that just, you know, we have a harder time getting candidates for. And so it's to help incentivize that to get us more.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
And Pat, I was wondering, how long will it take before there's a ability to identify the results of the paid media? Because I know that's not.
Yeah, within the next few weeks, because one of the things we're doing is we were evaluating what's working and what's not. And then my thought is what we'll do is, because we know we're spending on social media. Anecdotally, I would say we've seen some results, but we're probably going to ramp that back and reinvest that money somewhere else, because while we're getting great awareness, we're not necessarily converting. So that's of utmost importance.
And are there posters for businesses to have? Recruitment posters that you?
We have posters, but we haven't distributed them widely
Right.
to folks, but we do have some. It's been a question of priorities and what's going to get us the biggest bang for the buck. But yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Thank you. I'm really glad to see the partnerships with organizations like Lane Workforce and the Chambers. I think that's really a good connection, and hopefully that'll give us some really good traction in solving for this. Just another question around the bonus. When you say completion of the training, you mean successful completion of training?
Yes.
For that, but okay,
Yes.
just
Yes.
clarifying that. Thank you.
If it's a referral bonus?
Yeah, referral bonus. Yes. Yes. Did I not call it referral?
We
Sorry.
did.
Okay.
Just the referral bonus goes to the refer. So that, I don't know if that was clear,
Yeah.
but okay,
Right.
cool. Okay.
Other questions? Kelly, did you have anything you wanted to add? Is she still there?
I'm still here and I don't have anything to add. I appreciated the presentation and I'm in full support of the
Would there
effort.
be maybe like a little ad hoc committee of board?
Sorry, Kelly, I see that you're trying to talk. One moment.
It looks like she said she's still here and she doesn't have anything to add
Okay,
at this time.
thank you, Kelly.
Right. And I'm very much in
Do
support
you
of the
think
effort.
that there'd be a possibility of like a little ad hoc committee of board members? Because we talk about this, but then we all go home. If we sat around and kind of brainstormed and thinking of the retreat, how kind of ideas spontaneously morphed out.
Think that'd be useful?
I think it would.
Be honest.
No. I think it would. This is an organizational challenge. It's super important. Think of how I could go on this and I could buy a car right now. I can buy a car, a pizza, whatever I want. That's the sense of instantaneous gratitude that we have now. When I go to hire someone here, if the training class doesn't start for a month, they're waiting for a month. And then if they wait for that month, then they're told it may be a couple of years until you get, Saturday off or Sunday off. And you're going to be running this route. It's probably going to be at night, or you're going to be living on the board. So there are unique challenges for this job that we have to kind of get past, and that in the perception of safety, all of these things, right? So this is what we're up against, and this is why we're partnering with so many different organizations, including ATU. I mean, ATU, our union, I'm always reminding them to use the mic, and here I am being a hypocrite. The union has been very helpful in this. So I think that to Camille's point, we would prefer to have this on the meeting agenda every month. Certainly that's the prerogative of the board. But this is such a high level piece that I think it lends itself that credence. I think the other piece to it is, to Amy's point, is we're running on two tracks, really. The community really needs us to simplify the transportation structure for the county. And how we do that matters. We have partners that are already there. Lane or LCOG does fabulous work. There's so many different brands. We have multiple brands. So simplifying that from a mobility management strategy is one track. But this is what supports all of that, making sure we have our base level of service. So if you all have, if that's a will of the board to have an ad hoc committee, we would certainly use. We came to this presentation with an ask. Our ask was to help give us feedback and help us utilize your networks.
People have an interest in an ad hoc committee?
I would.
Okay.
There's no really venue if we have ideas to respond out.
2 other people and we're a go. Heather? Pete? Okay, there's your committee. Thank you. I have a couple of questions. It's regarding a metric, and Jameson hit on one of those metrics, is that the metric that I'm interested in is the time period between when a job opening closes and you make an actual job offer, because I think studies have shown that the longer that time period is, everybody's nodding, so I think you're tracking.
Yes. That's definitely one of the things we're working on, because we do want to make sure that's timely. One of the things we have done that we've put into place for the operators now is if we do offer them a job, kind of what Jameson was saying, they have to wait a month. So we've offered to have like the ambassador program where they can come and not necessarily the ambassador program, sorry, but have them ride the service with us and just get used to that route, kind of get used to the community and like what they're going to be doing, and then finding other little jobs for them that they can do so they can get employed now and not have to wait for that next class to start. But with the quicker schedule, hopefully we'll not have to do that as much.
The other thing, I think the way we can help is, I realize that at least once a week, I'm in a conversation with somebody who knows somebody, maybe a family member who's a young adult, and they haven't found their way in life. And now I have a card to hand out to them. So thank you for that. The other one, I understand the reasoning behind the service reduction, and it's needed, but could you help me understand what 3.7% service reduction means on the road?
Sure. I think the best way to describe what we're doing is we're reducing some trips or eliminating some trips during the weekday, primarily on our frequent transit line. So MX in particular, since we pump so much service on MX, that's one that we can pull some service off of. And then other low producing routes and just some trips on those ones. So low producing meaning not very high ridership.
So when you say reduce a trip on MX, what does that mean?
Means eliminate a trip. So I think we're eliminating 8 outbound trips and 7 inbound trips. And what that winds up doing is, for the majority of the day, we have 10-minute service on MX. And we're going to back that to 15-minute service after 9:30 in the morning. So the first 4 hours, we'll still run the 10-minute service during the rush, and then we'll back it to 15 minutes for the balance of the day on MX in particular.
Are there any situations where a route is just eliminated with a 3.7% reduction?
No.
Great.
No, all routes will remain active that are active now, and we're just identifying some strategic trips on some of those routes that are low producing or one that has high frequency, so the impact is less to a customer because there's another bus coming pretty shortly thereafter.
I think that the goal has really been to provide some higher level support to our operators to provide the improved work-life balance and reduce burnout levels with as minimal impact to the community as absolutely possible.
Regarding, you showed a chart with the, I can't remember the term, but it was basically when we don't have people to work.
The absenteeism.
Absenteeism. Is there a trend that we're seeing? Is a certain type of absenteeism?
Yes, it is the
Unplanned absences.
Yeah, the protected leaves. It's primarily well, this graph represents only protective leave absences.
So that doesn't include things like vacations. It doesn't include things like markups to have operators do instruction work. So that graph didn't include any of that. So those are absences. Thank you. Those are absences that we have to have someone cover for every one of those folks who are out because of an unplanned.
So there are certain categories of protected leave. What category caused the jump in October?
So not pointing a finger, but we suspect that there is a correlation with Oregon paid leave. We also suspect that there's correlations with long-term health absences. We do track when people are on leaves, what's causing some of those injuries, and we're starting to train to get ahead of those. Dave Lindley could talk more about that, but we get quite a few shoulder injuries and things that keep operators out on extended amounts of times. But that chart does sort of go hand in hand with when paid Oregon leave kicked off.
Okay. Heather?
A couple of things. In terms of, this is a tiny thing for HR, but I hear it all of the time. The communication before and after a hire. Not like with the internet these days, most employers, it seems, don't even recognize that they've gotten an application. So those little things go a long way. I can't tell you how many times I've thanked for calling or just even emailing and letting someone know that yes, we received it and thank you. It might bring them back in the future. And the other thing, I hear burnout, and I'm just wondering if you've ever considered, I don't know what your supervision models look like, but you might consider something that caters into some mental health type of models, like reflective supervision or something like that. And I'm happy to have discussions about those, just because if that's something that you're encountering, supervising differently may have different results. And it might be very cutting edge for a transit department to think about how to listen to bus drivers and operators. So.
I like that.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Other questions or comments? Great. Thank you for the work and the discussion, and it's a tough situation and it's good to see you moving on it.
Possible. Thank you.
Next item is an action item. It's a proposed interfund transfer within the general fund. Pam? You're up. Where'd she go? There she is.
Good evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget. The adopted budget reflects input from our LTD Budget Committee and the public. It's based on LTD's good faith estimate of expected resources and expenditures for the year. But because the budget is based on estimates, Oregon budget law allows for changes after the budget is adopted. The change we are requesting tonight is approval of an intra-fund transfer within the general fund. Due to key personnel changes in the finance department during the fiscal year 23-24 budget cycle, the marketing budget that was included in the adopted budget was not the amount that marketing had requested. The amount in the budget was $443,382. The amount the marketing department had requested for their budget was $1,107,350. That's a difference of $663,968. As we considered how to assist the marketing department, we were also working on an updated community investment plan. In the updated plan, we saw that the budgeted amount for the general fund transfer to the capital fund would not be fully utilized. In light of this information, and in order to fully fund the marketing budget, we are proposing to adjust two appropriation categories within the general fund. First, reduce the general fund transfer to the capital fund appropriation by $663,968 and increase the materials and services appropriation by the same amount. This is a transfer of funds between appropriation categories within the general fund only. The net effect of this change on the total appropriations in the general fund is zero. Please refer to the board packet materials for the details of this inter-fund transfer request. There's a chart in there. And does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? Heather?
Just making sure that these are allowable transfer, like the funds that are coming in. I don't know enough about the details to that. I think that is for appropriate use of.
Oh, yes, in the marketing budget, yes, we did go through the. It's, yeah, well, and actually it's because it's all within the general fund. Yeah, so usually you would not have to see a transfer that would be between funds, the different funds. Yeah, and that's why you have lines that say transfer to capital fund or transfer to the other one. And so this is all contained right within the general fund. Yeah, but Oregon budget law does value transparency, and we do too. So we wanted to make sure that even though the total wasn't changing, we thought it was important for you to know that we were going to shift some things around.
Kelly has her hand raised online. Kelly?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Ellie, I'm sorry, no sound is coming through.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, I'll take my hand down.
Yeah.
But we'll move on a little bit. Maybe you can text her and see what the problem is. Another question? I don't want to leave Kelly without.
Yeah, maybe she can type in the question.
Oh, she's texting me right now.
Okay.
Hi, Kelly. I have you on speaker.
There we go.
Your question.
Okay, sorry, I'll be quick. I was just inquiring with if the marketing budget that was proposed and missed, is it in keeping with the previous year's marketing budget? Is it close? I mean, was it a request with a lot of additional money or funds, or was it in keeping with the amounts that have been funded for marketing in the past?
So it was an increase over the last year's budget, and if I remember right, the amount was about $443,000. Most of that was for contracted services for targeted marketing campaigns. And is that Pat's here, so he's going to help jump in.
Yeah, with marketing taking over community, government, community relations, we ended up with some additional budget for travel and for some other things too that had normally been reflected in the executive office's budget when the government relations person was in that department. So that was where the bulk of that increase came from.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
I know that this is certainly not typical, but I understand that there have been some system changes just to make sure that we don't have a rerun of this.
So actually, what this happened, why this came about was because we weren't using our financial software. It was the majority of the budget work was done in spreadsheets outside of that. And each of the directors were asked to go in and update a particular shared spreadsheet. And with everybody in and out of that spreadsheet, as best as we can guess, what happened was that something that got entered didn't get saved And they thought they had put it in and gotten it all in there correctly, but when I went to upload the budgets, it wasn't, that information wasn't there. So, and yes, we do have a brand new financial software system. Our other one was 23 years old. And so we are working our way through all of the new pieces, parts and pieces, but the new budget, this year's budget, is already started and it's in the new software. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, entertain a motion. I think the motion is just to adopt the resolution number XXX.
That's correct.
Would anybody like to make that motion? It's at the bottom of the chart. Resolution 2024, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I move,
Resolution, for approval of resolution number 2024-01-31-0001.
second.
Moved by Heather, seconded by Susan.
I think she put an extra 0 in there.
Well, that might be on the, we might have had an extra 0 on the thing.
001. I think you said zeros.
Okay, is that clarification okay? All right. Susan Cox,
Yes.
Pete Knox,
Aye.
Kelly Sullivan, is that a hand, is that a yes, I think? Yep, okay, we'll take that as yes. Lawrence Green,
Yes.
Michelle Weber,
Yes.
Heather Murphy.
Yes.
And I also vote yes, that's unanimous.
Right.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Moving on to other business, board member reports. Pete?
Thanks, Gino. I just, want to add that, I attended the LCOG board meeting last Thursday evening. It was entirely virtual. Tom Schwetz, our, director of planning, was there to, represent LTD, asking for an endorsement of a letter to the Federal Transit Administration for a grant for a mobility project coming in the future. It was passed unanimously, and I didn't get a chance to speak because the chair didn't recognize me for some reason, but thanks, Tom, for representing LTD well. Thank you.
Other board member reports? Okay. Any questions? Go ahead.
So Heather and I kind of tag team on the Lane Act, and Heather was off doing something less important, like welcoming a new grandchild. Right. So on Lane Act, that is a body that's formed to help inform ODOT on transportation issues. And there is a new chair and vice chair coming in. And the chair will be Shelley Clark, who's a counselor down in Creswell. And the vice chair looks like Keith Weiss, mayor of Veneta, I believe. Veneta, yeah.
Okay. Delegated authority report, any questions? Monthly department reports, any questions on those? I had one question. I noticed the discussion about MX safety improvements. I saw that discussion in the reports and also have seen the on the ground changes. Have we seen any results with those safety improvements? Anyone?
So, okay, we keep it track. So our hotspots are changing, so yes. We're the McDonald's at 6 in Garfield. I haven't seen, we haven't had an incident there in a long time. Same deal with there's a friendly on, that seems to be, that's helped as well, so yes, we're seeing, my understanding is the lights are going up everywhere. So there's the MX signal. Now they are on every intersection where there's whereas before there was times when you had to just use the regular traffic. So now every intersection
they have their own 50/50 there, so. I've got to figure out a better reporting way for you, but just off the top. yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, great progress. Thank you. Joe, did you want to?
I was gonna add, to David's point, we were having some pretty serious, hard stops and incidents which resulted in this project being happened. We haven't had any report of that for full 40 miles corridor of the MX. And the last piece is really actually for the operators and to help with operator confusion about what signal to look at. And so there's benefit to the general traveling public as well as our bus operators in this.
Great. Any questions about future board items? Or I'll just combine any items for action that the board would like to request. Anything out there?
This is just
Sure.
a comment. I'm really excited about the art project. I think that is going to be really an interesting thing to collaborate with the rest of the community, be very visual, and I'm excited about that. So thanks for doing that.
Okay. Now we're ready to move into executive session. The first, we'll have two executive sessions. One is in it's ORS 192-660, Section 2, subsection 8, to consult with legal counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. And the other executive session is under ORS 192-660, Section 2, subsection D, to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. The press is allowed to sit in on these executive sessions, but is not permitted to report on the discussions held during the executive session. And we as board members are required to stay within the topic provided. Okay, we'll move into executive session.